What's up, y'all? We are going to do some chess and then we're going to do some math, is the goal. Once this is all set up and ready over here. We are going to do some chess. Yeah, we're going to do that. And then come over here. And then do that. And then I'm just setting up the TikTok live on my phone right now. And then we'll go live. And that should be good. So let's do that. It hasn't dropped any frames. Why is this frozen? Okay. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Alright. I think that's as live as we get now. Alright, cool. Cool. So, let's play some chess. Oh, jeez. I need to sign in. I should be logged in on my iPad. I think it's that one, but I'm not sure. Yeah. It is that one. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna do a 10-minute game. 10-minute game, that's like a classic time. That'll be good. So who we got? We got Marcio Newman. Oh, I'm white. Shoot. Okay, let's go. So we're gonna Queen's Gambit. That's the normal move. And he's gonna do that. Alright. So I'm gonna bring out the knight to attack. Or to attack that pawn. So now he's got another defender. So we should I can't get to him in any good way. So that seems weak though. I don't know. I mean, I'm just gonna bring my knight out. Whoa, he's gonna do that. Okay. Let's then. I'm gonna get the queen a little bit involved there. I want to pull this up. Nice. Okay. All right, yeah, there we go. Oh wow, he still hasn't moved yet? Jeez. Ooh, he just moved it back. Okay. Well, that definitely means I'm in a better position now. But what can I do? So that pawn's not very backed up. That pawn's a little backed up. I'm gonna do that. That seems decent. He's gonna push. Whoa. Well, if I take, I'm forking him then. And that pawn's backed up. So I think that's super, super good for me. I like that. I like that. Okay. No, look, how's it going over here? We're doing good over there. All right, cool. Well, that queen's not doing work there. That queen's free to take that pawn. Now he's still got that fork going. So I don't know what he's going to do about that. I think I'll get to take one of them. Because if he takes with the bishop, I can just take the bishop with the knight. Yeah, he's still going to keep attacking this. He's just waiting for me to move somewhere that's going to be a blunder. I think here is not a blunder. I can be attacked with his knight with that knight though if I go there. Okay, so let's rethink. Well, that just lets him get his knight out. Oh, he can check him. That's what I'll do. I'll check him. And then what's he going to do? He's either going to block with his pawn or he's going to block with his knight. Oh, or he can block with his bishop that he just moved. Yeah, he's going to block with his bishop that he just moved. Okay. Well, now I can come here. And that's a lot safer square for me, right? I can't be attacked by either knight, so that's cool. And we still got that fork in the middle. That fork in the middle hasn't gone away. He's just postponed it all. I guess he was waiting for me to put myself to where he could attack my queen by like moving his knight. But now he's got no hope of doing that. And we're actually up on time slightly, which is shocking. It's very shocking. It's very shocking. So, oh, yeah, he could just go back and do that. I can't block. Oh, well, now I can just take this pawn. I'm not really using my queen much anyway. I can just take that pawn. Well, then he's going to move his knight out. But he can't attack my queen with his knight. What could he attack my queen with? The bishop. Man, that bishop. Those bishops pair. That bishop pair is getting me. Because he's going to bring his bishop out. If he brings his bishop out... Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I thought he'd do. But now... Can I attack? So he can attack my queen with that knight now. But if he does... I can just escape. That square is actually safe for me right there. C6 is a safe square. So what do I want to take? I want to take his bishop. His bishop's been wrecking me. I definitely want to take his bishop. So let's take his bishop. So his rook is safe there. It's probably going to take my pawn, right? Yeah. Could we pin his knight? We could pin his knight. Is that useful? Well, he's going to do that. That could be useful. I could pin his knight. But do I have an attack? Well, I would have an attack if his knight's pinned, except for that his queen is there. And his queen isn't showing any signs of moving out. But I could get it up there in preparation for it. Could he attack it? He can't really attack it there, is the thing. So that's why I think that's fine. He has no good way of attacking that bishop. Okay. And he still can't get that bishop because it's backed up by the knight. So I can just get that pawn. And I'm safe if I take that pawn. We'll pre-move that. Surely we won't get to do it. So if he moves his queen out, it's like... No, his bishop is there too. His bishop is attacking that square. Oh, and now he's castled. Oh, if it wasn't for his bishop there. I could get my knight to the middle. And I could attack with the bishop with the knight. It's backed up. But I could definitely attack the bishop with the knight. And then... Because if I take the bishop, he takes with the pawn. But then I could take his knight with the bishop. And he can't take it with the queen. Because my queen is there. So that would be good. Sack the bishop. We'll trade the knight for the bishop. Okay, well now that's out of the question because he moved it. It's not threatening a lot there. Oh, that's a fork, right? That's just a straight fork if I go knight c6. Right? I'm attacking his rook and his queen. That's just like a straight fork. That's been there for a little bit. Well, no, it hasn't because I just moved my knight there. Oh, clutch. So I was threatening that everything I said before. So we had to. That's just trash. That's just straight trash. Yeah. Good job resigning. Wow. That was a trash move. All right. Oh, you want a rematch? Yeah, let's rematch. Okay. So he's coming out early. Oh, wow. We can't attack it either. We can attack that pawn. No, we can't attack that pawn because the queen's there. Let's see. I don't know. Oh, wow. That's super trash. Oh, wow. That's super trash. Jeez, he just didn't even expect something like that to happen because that was so bad. Whew. That's tough. So now what? If you take the pawn, I can put you in check. I guess there's no reason to put you in check. Oh my gosh. Now I just want to take his pawn. Well, I could pin that pawn. Let's do that. Let's pin that pawn. This is a weird game. Oh, that's horrible. Because now he's going to take my pawn and attack the queen. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, that sucks. Okay. Well, I'm just going to... Oh my gosh, and now that pawn is being attacked. So... Oh, wow. That's bad. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get forked. I don't think he's gonna. Oh, nope, he saw it. Yep, total fork. Brutal. That's awful. At least the knight's sort of gonna be trapped now. Wow, this is a horrible game. So the knight's pretty trapped. If I get this pawn out, I could potentially... Oh, I could have just totally trapped it with the queen. That's all I should have done, is just go queen d5. Should I just do that now? If he lets me? Or let's take the opportunity to get the bishop in position, actually. The bishop's not what's trapping him. Yeah, I can move the bishop and still be good. Oh, now I can't do that. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Um. He's still stuck. He still can't move his knight. Forget the board's right here. I don't need to look down. Um. So let's see. If I could defend b7, I could move my bishop there. But that seems like a crazy endeavor. Mm. Yeah, I need to get my pieces out, but I don't know where good places are to move them. I could get that bishop out, just move it to sort of an obvious spot, and then I'll be ready to castle next turn. That's probably the best I got. So he does that. Okay. Well, now his queen is blocked. Shoo, now his queen is blocked. So let's bring the bishop there now. Because now his queen ain't doing anything. Well, he can push the pawn. If he pushes the pawn, he forks me. No, he can't push the pawn because then I would take his queen. He can't push the pawn because then I would take his queen. Yeah. Okay. That's nice. So now... And I can take his knight if he moves it anywhere as well. So he moves it up, I take it with the pawn. He moves it there, I take it with the king, with the bishop, actually. And he can't push that pawn now. Yeah, that was a blunder. Pushing that pawn was the blunder. So what moves does he have? I don't see any good moves. I think he's got to move his queen. Oh, you could attack my queen. You could attack my queen. But my queen's not important where it is, but it also can't get out. We could trade him. I'm down, though. I don't want to trade. So I can't go anywhere sideways. I could go one back. He could take the pawn then. If I went h6, he's got no attack for me on h6. So let's go h6. And that kind of pins the pawn too. So now if I did something like g5, he couldn't take with the pawn. Because then I would take his rook. Unless he pushed his g-pawn, because then his queen would protect his rook. Which is probably what he would do. So that's not going to be a good thing. But we still got that same situation with the bishop attacking the knight. This dude likes to postpone bad things. I suppose that's what you want to do. So his knight's just mine. Except for that pawn is undefended. So should I defend that pawn first? I don't really have a way to defend that pawn. So when he comes in, he'll be attacking my bishop. So that's not a great situation for me. I could back up that pawn by just pushing my pawn. But if I push my pawn, then his knight would be able to escape. So I guess I just need to take that pawn. Or to take his knight. Yeah, I'm just going to take his knight. He can take my pawn. And so when he takes my pawn, I'm going to have to move my bishop. And where could I move my bishop? I could put him in check. And then he'll block with the pawn. And then I just move back. That seems decent. No, because that guy, that bishop's doing work, but he can't move anywhere and still do work and be safe. So that might be the plan. Yeah, I think that's the plan. We put him in check and then move the bishop back to b5. Of course, if I go to b5, then he could just push his other pawn. a5, I meant. But now he can just push his... Well, also, that wrecks his castle. So that's decent. Oh, he's going to do that. Okay. He didn't take anything, did he? No, he just went to the middle. What's he trying to do? He's trying to fork me. He's trying to fork my queen. Wow, I'm so good that I just saw that. He's trying to fork my queen by going f7. He's trying to do a super fork by going f7. So what could we do to prevent that? Can we castle? We cannot castle because we'd be crossing through check. So I suppose the move is just g6. But then I do lose the pawn if I go g6. But is there anything else I can do to stop it? I would need a white pawn. Well, I could take his pawn. Well, I take his pawn, he just takes my knight. So if I take his pawn, or he takes his bishop with the knight, I take the pawn. He would have to take with the knight, and that would stop everything. And then I could take his knight and I'd lose my knight. So I'd be up a pawn in that. Should I just do that? I guess that doesn't stop me from losing my queen. Does that actually stop, like, nothing? This is what he puts me in check now. If he puts me in check, I had to move my king and lose my castle. And then he takes my queen. And then I take his queen. Yeah, that's what we're going for. So now I lose my castle. Let's go ahead and go there. So I'm at least attacking his knight as well, so he can lose his knight if he saves his queen. So now it's like we have to trade queens. Alright, and I think in his position we have to trade queens. Because otherwise he's going to lose his knight. Yeah. So then I take that, and then I take his knight. Okay. So yeah, my position is pretty brutal right now. I wanted to move this anyway. So that's a good opportunity to move it. So now I can get my rook to the center. And now that doesn't even matter so much. And he's just going to want to trade it anyway. Let's push that pawn and attack the bishop. Yeah, this is not looking good for me. But I'm only down 2 points in material. So we match bishops. I've got 2 knights and a rook. He's got a rook and a rook, so I'm up 1 there, but then he has 3 other pawns of mine, or something like that. But yeah, he's pretty well defended. Oh, whoa, I'm in check. Whoa, I gotta not get forked. Let's go here. Well, he doesn't have his dark bishop anymore. So I'm decently safe to if I would go king g7. That would be decently safe. All right, so what's next? Well, I can just do that. That's fine. Because he still can't take that. So now I'm only down 1. There's no blocks. So I have to go up to still defend the knight. And then what? He's probably going to go G5. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Oh, I could get out. If I go out, I lose the knight. So I'm going to lose the knight anyway. So I'm going to do this whole thing first. I guess that's not any good at all. But then I can go here and at least like attack a rook and do a little fork in a way as I'm attacking the rook and the pawn. Yeah, so let's get my rook to the center of the board. So it can maybe do some damage. Okay, this is looking good. We're looking okay. We're looking okay. Well, no, we're not. We're down 4 points of material now. Well, I can take the pawn. So now we're down only 3 points of material. What's he going to do? H3? Rook H3? No, he's going to do that. Well, let's attack that one. I can't take the other one because the bishop's defending it, but I can take that one. If he gets his rook off the back rank, then I could go in for a check. Ooh, he's got 3 minutes. I got 2 minutes. Oh, well, I guess he can back those up. That was not a good move. But we could go there. How badly do you think I'm losing in this position? Probably pretty badly. Whoa. Well, we'll take that. I don't know. I don't think that knight was doing anything important down there. That bishop was doing good stuff for him, though. Now I'm only down 1 point in material again. What the heck was that? That was a weird move. So I got my king over there. His F rook is protecting his other rook. Well, they're protecting each other. But I'm attacking the G rook. So if he moved his F rook, I could take his G rook. So he's probably not going to do that. Unless he goes E... Unless he moves it to the E file. Can I protect that rook at all? I could go knight C7. Knight C7 would protect the rook. Because then if he went rook, I go knight C7. Well, that's just a trade, and I don't want to trade. Even though I am only down 1 point in material. He's definitely winning on king safety, though. His king is definitely safer than my king. My king's kind of out there. So now what? You can't take that pawn because you got to protect your rooks. So neither of them are on dark squares. But I could move... I could move there. It'd still be a rook trade. Which isn't great. Alright. Oh, I can't put him in check. Oh my gosh. Let's move this here. Let's just attack that pawn. Is he gonna move his king over? Probably. But he'd still, if he moved his rook up then to put me in check, he'd be protecting his rook with the king. But he still wouldn't be protecting that other one. Okay, so now he's going to do that. So if I put him in check, he'd have to move it. Yeah, that's too bad for me. I'm going to bring my knight over here. I need to get my pieces over here if I'm going to actually do anything. And I need to move quickly. So let's go there then. That'll put him in check. And then let's go there. Does that fork the rooks? I think it does. Okay, so not entirely. Because then we have to go there. But it's still issues. It's definitely still issues. Well, now he goes back one. And then I really fork him by going E2. Oh, well, now not because he did that. I mean, if we just repeat, I just got to do it quickly, I suppose. I mean, same thing. Now his rook is kind of trapped there, though. That was not the right side to do it on. Because now what? Oh, I guess the same thing. He just comes back. Okay, well, then I can just take. So we definitely got to move quickly. Because we could definitely... Oh, yeah, we could definitely run him out of time. What a good win. What a long game. What a good win. I hope. He's only got 10 seconds. I can't celebrate yet. Let's just do something. He's only got 10 seconds. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, let's come over here. Put him in check. Is there bonus time in this game? I don't think so. And that's the dub. That's the dub. 2 dubs in a row. Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yep, it's back. Okay, so here's the plan now. Oh my gosh, I gotta make sure my pencils are charged before I do this. Dang it, hold on. Dang it. Okay. I gotta reconnect my pencil. But let's go ahead and pull up where we want to start. We want to start with algebra. Why are we at the bottom of the book? Okay. There we go. Oh, this is calculus. Jeez. That's why we're at the bottom of the book. I don't want to start with calculus. I want to start with algebra 2. So where are we at? We are at section 1.5, inequalities. Okay, writing inequalities, you use interval notation, various things. Okay, so this works now? Yeah, that'll last us for a while. So here's what we want to do. 4 of them at least. All right. So it'll get reconnected and we'll start getting set up here. So we're gonna snip all of these. I don't know why you can't do that. Oh, well, let's get the directions too. So all of these. And then come back over here to this blank one and go delete, paste. Take the screenshot, and now we're ready to get going. Let me see over here. So are y'all being really quiet over here? No, you're not. Why is my chat not working? That's so annoying. Oh well. Let's make sure this still works. Okay. All right. So how do you use interval notation? Well, you write it as an interval. So you're thinking what's the smallest x can be and what's the biggest x can be. So let's start with a. So we're going to say, and I really like how they write it with this x in between 1 and 3, because that's exactly what x can be here. The smallest thing x can be is 1. The biggest thing x can be is 3. And then when you do interval notation, you got to put something on the outside, and there's two different symbols you can use. On this one, we're going to use a bracket, because you use a bracket when x is allowed to be that number. So see here that x is allowed to be equal to 1. So that's why we put a bracket on the 1, because the bracket shows that it is allowed to be that number. Whereas on the next one, you see it's not allowed to be equal to -4 and 0. So we're going to start with the same thing. We're going to say the smallest thing x can go up to is -4. The biggest thing is 0, but it cannot be those numbers. So we're going to put a parenthesis on those. So anything from -4 to 0, but not specifically -4 and 0, and the parentheses show that. So now what about c? So c here, it's just that x has to be bigger than 5. So we're going to think about it the same way. We're going to say, what's the smallest thing x can be? 5. And then what's the biggest thing x can be? Well, there's no limit. So the biggest thing x can be is infinity. And we're just going to say that. So we're going to say that it can be, that's a horrible infinity sign. We're going to say anything from 5 to infinity. And then it has to be bigger than 5, not equal to 5. So we'll put a parenthesis. And then with infinity, the idea is you can't ever get to infinity, right? It just keeps getting closer and closer and closer and closer to infinity. So really, it can't be infinity either. So whenever we have an infinity, we always put a parenthesis on it. Infinity or a negative infinity. Like on the next one, x has to be less than or equal to 1. So the smallest thing x can be is negative infinity. And we'll put a parenthesis on that because just like positive infinity, we can never get to negative infinity. And then the biggest thing it can be is 1. But it can be 1. So we're going to put a bracket on that 1. So see, often one of them will have a parenthesis and one of them will have a bracket. There's nothing wrong with that. We're just saying it can be anything all the way down to a negative infinity, but it never will reach negative infinity, and all the way up to 1. And it can be 1. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. So let's delete that. Come back over here to the next example. Did that copy? Oh, we gotta crop it. Okay, and then we're gonna screenshot. So look here, we're going the other way. So we're gonna write it as an inequality. So for A, what's the smallest thing x can be? 1. So we're gonna say x has to be bigger than 1 or equal to, because remember that's what the bracket means, that it is allowed to be 1. But then it has to be less than 4, and it cannot be equal to 4, so just less than 4. And B, it can be anything from 2 to infinity. So see what that's saying is that x has to be greater than 2. Not equal to 2 because of the parenthesis, just greater than 2. And then C, x has to be between 2 and 3. Well, so 2, like this. This is often how we write things. This is how you want to write it if it's in between two values. To say, because look at what it's saying. It's saying that x is bigger than 2 because it's opening towards the x relative to the 2. But then 3 is bigger than x because it's opening towards the 3. So this, when you write it like this shows that it's in between those two numbers. So then D, anything from negative infinity to negative 3. So That's just saying that x has to be less than 3. And because there's a bracket on the negative 3, it has to be less than or equal to negative 3. All right, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. So let's go to the next one. If x is less than negative 5, then x plus 5 is less than negative 5 plus 5, or x plus 5 is less than 0. What? So the next few examples aren't really problems. They're just kind of things to notice, I suppose. So let's just notice them. So example 3, if x is less than negative 5, then x plus 5 is less than negative 5 plus 5. So see what they did? They added 5 to both sides. So x plus 5 is less than negative 5 plus 5. And then they did that so that they could end up with this. So it's kind of a weird example because normally you would try to think about it going the other way. But, whoa, Notability just crashed. Holy moly. Okay. That's all good. Oh, perfect. So we're back to here. And so see the next thing they did the same thing. They added negative 2 to both sides. So in reality, they subtracted 2 from both sides. See, that's the same thing they have here. And so they got that as a final thing. So just good to notice. I mean, what they're showing here is that you can add and subtract things to both sides of the equation, just like you can, or both sides of the inequality, just like you have with an equation. And I suppose that's what they're showing with all of these. So see, then here, they multiplied both sides by 2. So just like with an equation, if you multiply both sides by 2, you can do that with an inequality as well. Here. Oh, so here, see, this is the different one. So this is the only thing that's different with an inequality. If you multiply both sides by a negative number, which is what they're doing here. So see, that's how they get their negative 36 and negative 8. You've got to flip the sign around. Look how the sign flipped around. And so they're just showing this example. Like, look how that has to be true. Because if 9 is greater than 2, when you multiply by the negative, you're not going to say that negative 36 is greater than negative 8. That's not true. Negative 36 is less than negative 8. So every time you multiply by a negative, that's going to happen. That's critical. That's super, super critical. And that's another thing. So that's the biggest takeaway of this. When you multiply by a negative, you got to flip the sign. So what could I... Let's just screenshot all of that. That's a pretty bad thumbnail, but it's all good. All right. So what's next? We're trying to do 4, right? How many was that? 1, 2, that was 3. So let's do this 4th. So yeah, these are all solving for x. So these we can do. And then get a white marker and color over some of them. Frick. I gotta be more careful. So that, and then that. So it's just the commas. That, just the commas. That. Okay. And then I'm gonna get rid of the ifs too, actually. Nice. Okay. So then back to that. Back to that. Okay. So solving inequalities. You solve them just like equations. So when we take a here, we're just gonna divide both sides by 2. We're gonna get that x is less than 3. And that's an answer. So it depends on how you want to write your answer. So that's like writing your answer as an inequality, I suppose. Often you want to write your answer in interval notation, so we're going to do that as well. But see, it can be anything from negative infinity up to 3. And it cannot be equal to 3 because it's just less than. So we do a parenthesis. Okay, B, same deal. We're multiplying both sides by negative 3. And remember the rule, the takeaway from the last video. If you multiply both sides by a negative, you've got to flip the sign around. So here we're saying that x is less than negative 36. So interval notation, actually exactly the same as above. Negative infinity up to negative 36. And a parenthesis on the negative 36 because it cannot be equal to negative 36. And then C, what's up with C? Well, we're going to divide by negative 4. And same with multiplying by a negative, because division is really just multiplication. We're going to flip the sign. So we're going to say that x has to be greater than 2. Interval notation, 2 up to infinity. Now D, negative x is greater than 8. Well, all we got to do is multiply by a negative, or multiply by a negative 1, or divide by a negative 1. So negatives, you got to flip the sign. So x is less than negative 8. Anything from negative infinity up to negative 8. Look at that. Sideways 8, straight up and down 8. So that's the answer. You solve inequalities just like equations. If they were more advanced, you would solve it just like an equation. Just like these. We solve just like an equation. All right, good stuff. So, oh, I'm going to erase all that white doing that. Maybe not. Nope, there it is. Okay, so let's put the white back because we forgot to screenshot it. Cool. Screenshot. Okay. Now, should we do a little calc? Let's do a little calc. I'll be right back though. All right, we back. Okay. So I'm hoping to do 4 of these now. All right, let's do it. So first up here, that's the wrong pencil. I need to set up my Apple Pencil sharpener. That was clean. Okay. Screenshot. All right. Oh, my connection's bad. I'm dropping frames like crazy right now. Why? I'm not even recording. Oh well. Well, I'm gonna record anyway, so it's gonna probably drop frames. Hopefully it doesn't drop frames recording. It shouldn't. So how do you do problems like this? Discuss the continuity of each function. So when you think back to domain that you did back in Algebra 2 and pre-calculus, that's exactly what this is, actually. So when is it going to be undefined for the first one? Well, x cannot be 0. So it's discontinuous at 0. Now, what type of discontinuity does it have? Well, it has an asymptote, right? Think back to what this graph looks like, 1 over x. It's got an asymptote. So we'll go ahead and name them. So that's an infinite discontinuity at x equals 0, because that's where it has its asymptote. So this is a lot of picturing the graphs. You got to think back to what these graphs would look like. So now b, that x minus 1 is going to cancel, right? Because you can factor this top, x plus 1, x minus 1. So then the x minus 1s cancel, and it's just x plus 1. So it's just a line, but it's got a hole, right? There that it canceled, because the original function, you still can't plug in x equals 1. So it's got a hole, which is a removable discontinuity at x equals 1, because that's where it's got its hole. All right. So C, so we got two polynomials. So polynomials are always continuous. So we don't have to worry about them. The only part we have to worry about is where it switches over. We've got to make sure that at x equals 0, because that's where it switches from one function to the other. We got to make sure that both functions are the same at x equals 0. That way it can do a clean jump from one function to the other. So all we have to do is we have to plug in 0 for both of them. We have to see in the top function, 0 plus 1, it's going to be 1. So from the left side coming in, it's going to be 1. Plug in 0 to the next one. 0 squared plus 1 is also 1. So from the right side, it's going to be 1. So these two functions line up. This is continuous. That's a continuous function. And then D, sine of x, you just know what that graph looks like. That's also continuous. The sine graph is continuous everywhere. So that's what it is. When you're discussing continuity, it's the same as like domain, and you just got to think about what the graphs look like. What is x not allowed to be? Because that's going to be where it's discontinuous. All right, that looks fine, actually. Okay. So that's 1. We got 3 more. What are we going to do after that? It's almost 5 o'clock. Okay, that's good. All right. So, oh yeah, there's all the graphs that we just looked at. See how that one lines up. All right, example 2, one-sided limit. Find the limit from the right. Oh yeah, just from the right. What? You just plug her in. All right, how do we solve this one? They threw us a real softball here. So how do you find the limit from the right? Well, we just got to plug it in. Like you plug it in and you just get 0. So that's what the limit is from the right. Because also, picture what this graph looks like. I mean, I guess you just have to know. But this graph is a semicircle. It's got a radius of 2, so that's 2. That's positive 2. So from the right, it's just going to 0. The answer is just 0. And so, like, if it was asking for the limit as x approaches negative 2, that wouldn't exist because it doesn't approach it from the left. It only approaches it from the right. So that's why they have to only talk about the right side limit here. And this is why knowing your graphs is important for calculus. This is like why you take pre-calculus, because you got to know what all these graphs look like. All right, we didn't screenshot this. So let's screenshot it. And then let's delete it. We got 2 more, right? Example 3, the greatest integer function. What even is the greatest integer function exactly? So we get to look at it there. See, the greatest integer function, I don't like that name. I call this the floor function. So I'll mention that in my video. So let's do this. So how do we do this? See how they're talking about the greatest integer function here. And I actually don't like that name. I'm going to write it down though. The name of this function, this symbol, is the greatest integer function. All that is rounding down. So my preferred name for this is called the floor. Just call it the floor function. And my preferred symbol for this is this, because you see it's like a bracket with only the thing on the bottom, because that signifies that it's the floor function. But what this is it's rounding down. So if we have a graph, whoa. If we have a graph, this looks like this. It's like steps. So like here is 1, here is 2, here is 3, here is 4. Here is 1, here is 2, here is 3. So see, like when it's inputting anything less than 1, it's rounding it down to 0. Anything greater than 1 but less than 2, between 1 and 2, it's rounding it down to 1. And then it continues down here, this pattern. Well, they all connect, so like that. So then when we picture this graph, we can talk about what's going to happen. As x approaches 0 from the left, so let's say the limit as x approaches 0 from the left of f of x, we'll look at the graph. It's -1. But then from the right of f of x, it's 0. And that's just by looking at the graph. Here you see from the right, it's going to 0. Here from the left, it's going to -1. So this graph isn't used very often. It's used as an example sometimes in calculus. Some people talk about it. I didn't talk about it in Algebra 2, just because I thought it was a distractor from the more important part of transformations. But like you can do it sometimes. This is an example. We're doing all the examples. So that's what you do. You just got to picture the graph like always. All right, we got one more. Did I screenshot this? I don't remember. I'll screenshot it now just in case. And then we got one more. Hopefully it's a good one. Whoa. Screenshot. So what are we doing here? We're discussing the continuity of this function. And so again, you got to know what this graph looks like. This is a semicircle in between -1 and 1. So this is continuous everywhere where it is. It's just where is it? Well, it's between -1 and 1. And look, you can plug it in and see, like, is it allowed to be 1? Well, if you plug in x equals 1, you just get the square root of 1 minus 1, which is 0. So that's fine. So it is allowed to be 1. So this is continuous everywhere on its domain. It's just that its domain is only from -1 to 1. But it's continuous everywhere from -1 to 1. All right, that was a short one. All right, team. Well, with that, we're going to call it a day. I'm going to mark where we are. Oh, wow, we got a word problem next, too. And then we're down here. Where did we make it to here? We did that one. So the next example is 7. Oh, and these are easy, just solving more equations. Now we're still in chapter 1, so that makes sense. All right, team. So that's it. Think we're going to sign off. Glad to see you guys. When am I going to stream chess again? Later today, probably.